Dear Saint, this morning our topic for discussion is the door of hope. We are still on lesson 6, and lesson 6 has the title of the enemy within. This November 5th, like I've said, we look at the door of hope, and we'll read Joshua chapter 8, verse 1 to 29, and then answer the question, what does this story tell us about how God can transform our most abysmal failures into opportunities? Okay, so I'll read Joshua chapter 8, 1 to 9, New King James Version. It says, Now the Lord said to Joshua, Do not be afraid, nor be dismayed. Take all the people of war with you, and arise and go to Ai. See, I have given into your hand the king of Ai, his people, his city, and his land. And you shall do to Ai and its king as you did to Jericho and its king. Only its spoil and its cattle you shall take as booty for yourselves. Lay an ambush for the city behind it. So Joshua arose and all the people of war to go up against Ai. And Joshua chose 30,000 mighty men of valor and sent them away by night. And he commanded them, saying, Behold, you shall lie in ambush against the city behind the city. Do not go very far from the city, but all of you be ready. Then I and all the people who are with me will approach the city, and it will come about when they come out against us as at the first, that we shall flee before them, for they will come out after us till we have drawn them from the city, for they will say, They are fleeing before us as at the first. Therefore we will flee before them. Then you shall rise from the ambush and seize the city, for the Lord your God will deliver it into your hand. And it will be, when you will have taken the city, that you shall set the city on fire, according to the commandment the Lord shall do. See, I have commanded you. Joshua therefore sent them out, and they went to lie in ambush and stayed between Bethel and Ai on the west side of Ai. But Joshua lodged that night among the people. Then Joshua rose up early in the morning and mustered the people and went up, he and the elders of Israel, before the people to Ai, and all the people of war who were with him went up and drew near, and they came before the city and camped on the north side of Ai. Now a valley lay between them and Ai. So he took about 5,000 men and set them in ambush between Bethel and Ai on the west side of the city. And when they had sent the people, all the army that was on the north of the city and its rear guard on the west of the city, Joshua went that night into the midst of the valley. Now it happened, when the king of Ai saw it, that the men of the city hurried and rose early and went out against Israel to battle, he and all his people at an appointed place before the plain. But he did not know that there was an ambush against him behind the city. And Joshua and all Israel made as if they were beaten before them, and fled by the way of the wilderness. So all the people who were in Ai were called together to pursue them, and they pursued Joshua and were drawn away from the city. There was not a man left in Ai or Bethel who did not go out after Israel. So they left the city open and pursued Israel. Then the Lord said to Joshua, Stretch out the spear that is in your hand toward Ai, for I will give it into your hand. And Joshua stretched out the spear that was in his hand toward the city. So those in ambush arose quickly out of their place. They ran as soon as he had stretched out his hand, and they entered the city and took it and hurried to set the city on fire. And when the men of Ai looked behind them, they saw, and behold, the smoke of the city ascended to heaven. So they had no power to flee this way or that way. And the people who had fled to the wilderness turned back on the pursuers. Now when Joshua and all Israel saw that the ambush had taken the city, and that the smoke of the city ascended, they turned back. Now when Joshua and all Israel saw that the ambush had taken the city, and that the smoke of the city ascended, they turned back and struck down the men of Ai. Then the others came out of the city against them, so they were caught in the midst of Israel, some on this side and some on that side. And they struck them down, so that they let none of them remain or escape. But the king of Ai they took alive and brought him to Joshua. And it came to pass, when Israel had made an end of slaying all the inhabitants of Ai in the field, in the wilderness, where they pursued them, and when they all had fallen by the edge of the sword until they were consumed, that all the Israelites turned to Ai and struck it with the edge of the sword. So it was that all who fell that day, both men and women, were 12,000, all the people of Ai. And Joshua did not draw back his hand with which he stretched out the spear until he had utterly destroyed all the inhabitants of Ai. Only the livestock and the spoil of that city Israel took as booty for themselves according to the word of the Lord, which he had commanded Joshua. So Joshua burned Ai and made it a heap forever, a desolation to this day. And the king of Ai he hanged on a tree until evening. As soon as the sun was down, Joshua commanded that they should take his corpse down from the tree, cast it at the entrance of the gate of the city, and raise over it a great heap of stone that remain to this day. That is the reading. It was Joshua chapter 8, verse 1 to 29. And we are supposed to respond to the question, what does this story tell us about how God can transform our most abysmal failures into opportunities? The strategy of Yahweh converts Israel's initial defeat into a tactical advantage, thus transforming the Valley of Achor, Hebrew word for trouble, into a door of hope. Compare with Hosea chapter 2 verse 5. Hosea 2 verse 5 says, I will give her vineyards from there, and the valleys of Achor as a door of hope. She shall sing there as in the days of her youth, as in the days when she came up from the land of Egypt. Having gained too much self-confidence by their first victory over the Israelites, the citizens of Ai repeated their strategy in attacking the Israelites, who feigned retreat and defeat. Once the inhabitants of Ai are lured out of their stronghold, the 30,000 Israelites positioned not too far behind the city, as we have seen in Joshua chapter 8 verse 4, will capture the empty city by setting it on fire. Joshua 8 verse 7 makes it clear that it's not the strategy that brings victory, but it is the Lord himself who will grant the victory and hand the city of Ai over to the Israelites. Even in a chapter in which the military aspects dominate the narrative more than in any other chapter of the book, the text highlights the underlying truth that victory is the gift of Yahweh. The decisive moment of the battle occurs when the men of Ai leave the city and start pursuing the Israelites. This is the second time that God speaks in the whole chapter after he gave the strategy in Joshua chapter 8 verse 2, signaling that he oversees the battle. Until this moment, we don't know the outcome of the battle. From this point onward, it becomes clear that the Israelites' army is victorious. The weapon in the hand of Joshua was a sickle sword or scimitar rather than a sword or javelin. In the time of Joshua, it may not have been used as an actual sword, but it had become a symbol of sovereignty. And besides giving the signal for attack, it expresses God's sovereignty in the defeat of Ai. By stretching out the sickle sword until the full victory is won, Joshua is shown to have fully assumed the leadership role Moses exercised at the crossing of the Red Sea, as we can see in Exodus chapter 14 verse 16, and in the war against the Amalekites in Exodus chapter 17 verse 11 to 13, where Joshua personally led the combat. So we'll read these two verses. Exodus chapter 14 verse 16 says, "But lift up your rod and stretch out your hand over the sea and divide it, and the children of Israel shall go on dry ground through the midst of the sea." And then Exodus chapter 17 verse 11 to 13 says, "And so it was when Moses held up his hand that Israel prevailed, and when he let down his hand, Amalek prevailed. But Moses' hand became heavy, so they took a stone and put it under him, and he sat on it. And Aaron and Hur supported his hands, one on one side and the other on the other side, and his hands were steady until the going down of the sun. So Joshua defeated Amalek and his people with the edge of the sword." This time, there is no visible miraculous intervention of God, yet the victory over Ai is no less divinely assisted than that over the Egyptians in the first generation or in the recent victory over Jericho. The key to success in Joshua's faith in the word of the Lord, and his unwavering obedience to it. The key to success is in Joshua's faith in the word of the Lord and his unwavering obedience to it. The principle seen in this story remains valid for God's people today, wherever they live and whatever their challenges. Thank you for your time. So, we have looked at the topic of the door of hope. And I just want to remind us that our topic for the week is the enemy within, and our memory text is from Jeremiah chapter 17 verse 10. I'll read from English Standard Version. It says, "I, the Lord, search the heart and test the mind, to give every man according to his ways, according to the fruit of his deeds." Let me repeat. Jeremiah 17:10 says, "I, the Lord, search the heart and test the mind, to give every man according to his ways, according to the fruit of his deeds." Amen. May the Lord bless me and you, and that we may meet tomorrow for another session. Thank you.